Good evening. We'd like to call to order the concurrent meeting of School Administrative Unit Number 12, the School Board in the Londonderry School District. This evening, Tuesday, August 15th at 7:10. And if we could please stand, and Barbara me, if you would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. And this evening we have a changing of the guard, much as we did a short time ago. And I would like to introduce Pat Slozak and have Barbara come up and let us know why she's not sitting here anymore.
I just wanted to take a minute to come and officially introduce Pat Slozak, who is the new LEA teacher rep to the school board. I'm sure she'll do a great job. She's a teacher at Matthew Thornton. She's been in town for a long time like me. And you'll get an elementary perspective a little bit. And I'll be happy to answer emails if any questions come up. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. Thank you. Happy to be here.
So Barbara was never known, this is me, I'm sorry, see, no, she's not up here anymore. She was never known to slip out early, so if you do tonight, we'll know. But welcome, and before we go, we'll also hear from Pat later this evening. But we also have Michael. And Michael, could you just pronounce your last name for us? And
Kreitz.
Right, and everybody needs to talk into the microphone. So welcome to Michael Kreitz.
Kreitz.
We'll hear from him a bit later in the reports. Questions and announcements. The first one I don't see. We have an announcement.
Yes.
Londonderry Flames.
Yes. Very pleased to announce the Londonderry Flames, which is our 12 and under softball team, which happens to be composed of students, girls from our middle school, is at the Babe Ruth Softball World Series. I believe this is the first under 14 team that has made it to the World Series, and which is being held in Varnia, Virginia, from August 11th through 19th. So they're actually there right now. And what I'd like to do is, one, recognize the young ladies and young athletes who have done this. This is an annual accomplishment. And also, two, if anyone is interested in helping to support this venture, that they can send a donation into the Londonderry Flames. It's the LAFA donations, and they can be sent to Lorraine Pierce, 11 Welch Road, Londonderry, New Hampshire. And I'm sure if someone misses this, they can contact LAFA, and they would certainly be more than happy to accept a donation on behalf of the girls to help offset the costs. And we wish them the very best, and I think it's really a neat thing.
Do you have a website on that, Ron?
The website is lafa.info, I-N-F-O. The other thing, just to let everyone know, is that they were in pool play over the weekend, and they succeeded in to go into the World Series. They're the third seed in the national division. They're one of 6 teams left, and they'll be playing this week for the championship.
Neat.
Peter?
I want to let everybody know that the bus routes have been posted on the school website, and they will be in the Derry News this coming Friday, and they will be printed in the Londonderry Times August 24th. So everybody can start looking at the website or wait for the 2 newspapers to come out. As you know, this is obviously the initial run. There were some adjustments made as omissions and errors are found, but right now this is the routes as they'll run the school opens.
Peter, I'd like to see you email the board the capacity factors on the bus. In the budget process, we spoke about possibly eliminating a bus at the elementary school with the declining populations, and that's something that I thought was going to be taken care of before we posted the bus routes. So I'd like to see what the capacity factors is on that. You know, we're talking about $30,000 and $35,000 a bus. That's a substantial amount compared to what we have there. So I'd like to see what the capacity on each of the buses is as we stand right now.
Other questions for Peter or the bus runs? Peter, what's the typical elementary school time frame for a child on the bus?
Try to keep it somewhere about a half an hour. As I'm talking to Ken, the latest runs, on a normal day, without any traffic or rain or snow, or the latest run that he remembers is that about 4 o'clock is when the elementary, the last bus will clear on an elementary run. And so what we're trying to do is obviously maintain that, or obviously do it a little better than 4 o'clock. As you know, it gets dark early as you get into the winter months, and so we're trying, we always try to adhere to that 4 o'clock or better deadline.
Okay, and Nate, you'll address in a future meeting capacity issues, or you're interested in email or discussion further?
Before we start with the buses, I'd like to get it resolved. I mean, we look, and if I'm not mistaken, we've got the same number of buses today as we did 5 years ago, and our population has decreased significantly. That's really where I'm coming from.
Well, were you asking about all buses?
I'm looking at the elementary school buses.
Is there any value in looking at the other buses?
I believe the elementary drives the program.
I mean, the contract is, we pay a flat rate of, I don't know the exact number, I'm gonna say 37,000 a bus. And the elementary routes kind of drive, well, also middle school too, but will drive the capacity number of the buses. I did talk to Ken about this, and we are looking, the only area that would be of any chance of consolidating a bus would be the Matthew Thornton routes. But again, we got to keep in mind that even though maybe the total numbers of students have gone down, we are looking at the same amount of roads, same amount of area, town-wide to cover. So, again, what we do is we look at two factors. We look at capacity or capacity of the bus and the numbers of the students on the bus, but also the length of time on the bus and how long are the kids on the bus, especially on the ride home.
But again,
Understand.
Matthew Thornton was at 9:38, we're at 7:50 now, and we haven't changed the number of buses.
So for those parents that are interested, you can go to londonderry.org. You need to put in the 3 Ws for that site, and you can find the bus routes, and it will be published in the papers over the next week or two, if you choose to look at the hard copy. Any other questions or announcements? The only other thing I'd say is it is Old Home Day week. It's one night before. Senior night is Wednesday, kids' night is Thursday. Friday night is the concert and the fireworks and the softball game, and Saturday is dozens of different things, including the parade, and on Sunday there's a contemporary Christian concert. If you'd like further details, you can go to oldhomeday.com to find out the full schedule. Look at your red and black mailer that you received in the mail, or red and red mailer. The next meeting will be a building tour, and that's August 22nd at 6 o'clock, and that begins at South School in the lobby. And that does depart South School lobby at 6 o'clock promptly. If you aren't there in the lobby, you will have difficulty finding us in the school. That will be a traveling tour. The next place we'll be stopping is Moose Hill, then to Matthew Thornton, and then to the district office. This is open to the budget committee, the school board, the press, and the public. Anybody that'd like to come and take a look at those facilities, they can. And I believe, Nate, you serve light refreshments at one end or the other because we start so early.
We'll be at the beginning.
At the beginning. North School on August 24th, starting at 6 o'clock, we meet in the lobby. We then take that on a traveling tour of the middle school and the high school. And once again, the public, press, and the Budget Committee, and of course, the school board is always in full attendance. And last year, the Budget Committee, we had a nearly 100% attendance on all of those tours, and it was very, very helpful, and we appreciate that. And good to see you out there, Adriana. The next meeting would be August 29th at 7 o'clock, and that's a regular meeting here in this room. And Nate, before I go to the consent agenda, would you give the start for school for me for all of the schools?
Yes.
Sorry to catch you.
Oh, let's see if I remember.
Is that Mrs. Slozak? Ooh, Mrs. Slozak does it.
August 20,
People might be thinking about that. I had a parent comment
Yes.
to me. They wanted to know if I could start school earlier.
school starts August 31st for grades 1 through 12. Kindergarten, the 5th. Thank you, Steve.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Because I didn't know the answer, so. We have a consent agenda.
So move the consent agenda?
Second.
A first and a second by, first by Ron, second by George. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 5-0. School board liaison reports. Michael, this is where it's on the agenda. It says the school board first, but I always happen to start down on the right. So if you have some liaison reports for us from the students?
Well, the student council hasn't entirely met because they're off in their summer things, but the executive board met a couple times. We helped with the labeling of books, the new books that were coming in, and helped kind of get some books out to rooms. We have a couple things coming up similar to that, and we're just getting ready for school and helping to get the students ready, the rising students.
One of the things I noticed, the student council typically does tours for the new students, those students that might be coming into school for the first time. Do you have any details on that?
I know there's freshman orientation. I'm not sure when that's scheduled, and I know the student council is going to be helping out. I don't know who else will be, as far as staff and whatnot.
I believe freshman orientation is the 28th. 29th.
It's freshman orientation is the 29th of
Or the
August.
36th.
You would have been early.
Okay, and Mrs. Slozak, a
Yes.
teacher's report.
I do have things to talk about. Even though the summer has been going very quickly, many of the teachers are gearing up for the new school year. Many teachers have been in already to help set up their classrooms to start that procedure. The welcome letters from the superintendent and the principals have come out already. Curriculum work has taken place over the summer as well, where 4th and 5th grade teachers have met with Mr. Blunt on social studies and mapping out the curriculum for the year and for a meeting that we're going to hold in September. Also, some new science materials have come in, and we've started to preview those as well for the possible change in curriculum materials over the next few years. Under the direction of Mrs. Oswald, the Londonderry Teacher Academy has held several workshops. There was one this morning on a refresher course on different applications for the elementary teachers, another one tomorrow on iMovie, and next week she'll be running some for middle school and high school teachers on Outlook and Excel. New teachers are also going to be meeting next week to begin work on their web pages. So that'll be nice to have that possibly up and running or close to up and running when the school year begins. Let's see, some of the staff at Matthew Thornton has been working on the new PBIS program that will be rolled out this fall. So they've been working on setting that up for the fall. And the teachers do begin officially on the 28th Monday. And before I stop, I would like to thank Mrs. Mee for coming here tonight and introducing me, and also for the assistance she gave me in coming to my decision to take this position. And also to Connie McInnes, who has been very helpful with the emails back and forth to get me started. So thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
And we almost always start on time.
Almost.
So
That's okay.
we end on time, too. Right, Reed?
Yes.
George, you have liaison reports?
Not much has been going on. The planning board hasn't looked at much in residential, not in the board. And the auditorium committee has met as a full group again, and subcommittees are continuing to meet, and we should be on target to provide a report both to this board and to the town council at the scheduled beginning of October, based on calendars, when their meetings are and when ours are, so. Oh, and the IT, I don't know what we're calling it, the IT combination, I guess, or looking at a combined IT organization, has met several times, and we've got more meetings coming up week after next, with reviews of both the IT structure here at the district and the IT structure at the town. And that's it.
Paul?
I'd just like to mention how nice it is to see the principals so relaxed and tanned at this juncture. I'm sure they're looking forward to diving into the year ahead with all kinds of exciting and unpredictable, and hopefully a few predictable things ahead. And Pat, it's great to have you aboard. I know you were an officer with the Friends of Music that met monthly and meets monthly. And certainly if you have any ideas, I don't know if our meetings are quite as lively as those,
They were fun meetings.
but if you have any thoughts on how to bring the spirit of 76 trombones to our meetings, I'm sure we'd all benefit from that.
Maybe Michael and I can work together on that. He's a member of the band.
There you go. Good support from that end of things. Very quiet for me. There's just one budget committee meeting, and they had social services come talk about their programs, present their programs, and request for funding to the budget committee. And that's all, Steve.
Ron?
The North School Building Committee met, and on that day, Procon had finished all their work, and all they were working on is their punch list at the time, and we've got some stuff to go, so that building's coming along very nicely, and we'll be very impressed as we walk through that on our tours on the 24th. Again, the CIP committee has met, and was rating projects, and we'll be talking about that later this evening. The auditorium committee is moving along nicely, and it's making some excellent progress, and I think the board's going to be impressed with what it's going to present. And the last one is the rec commission meeting last night, and we spoke about the ordinances or that the town council is putting together on sanctioning the use of town facilities. And that's really about it.
Nothing for me. The town council did meet, but as a school board liaison, I didn't think it was imperative for me to go as they were meeting with the library trustees, and that doesn't really affect the school district that I'm aware of, so enough said about that. So I'll be at their next meeting, which is next Monday. But and the budget committee Paul spoke of, and that was appropriations to the various charitable groups that have requested funding, and Paul represented us. I was on vacation that evening, so that's it for me.
On the library, they are going to be meeting in our old boardroom starting next month. Do you happen to have the date? The 6th, the first Wednesday of the month. And that will be broadcast on Leo live that evening. All further replays of that will be on the standard government channel, just so everyone knows. So if you tune in and you see our old boardroom and a different set of faces, the library is going to be utilizing that so that they can broadcast their meetings. And we were able to work that out with them, and we welcome them and glad that they can utilize that for their meetings. Superintendent's report.
Yes, first report this evening, be Mark, talking about membership for C3. You're welcome.
In your board packets this evening, I've included a revised curriculum coordinating council membership. Prior to the close of the 2005-06 school year, the C3 committee and the board liaisons to the committee talked about changing membership just to enhance communication and have certain key people at the meetings. Probably the most significant changes in this membership roster are the parent representatives from the PTAs. That's a big change from the previous composition, that we have that connection so the parent can communicate back to the PTAs on the work of the curriculum council. The other major component is to have all of the curriculum administrators, in other words, the assistant principals at the elementary schools, the 3 curriculum coordinators at the secondary level, and the Moose Hill, Bonnie at Moose Hill, the kindergarten coordinator, as part of that membership. We still have a strong teacher balance still in the membership. So those are probably the biggest changes of note on that. And then the second piece to this packet is the dates for scheduled meeting dates for next year for C3. When we originally came out with the schedule, we had 8 meetings. We did bump that up to 10 sessions. The first one starting September 27th, and the last one concluding toward the end of June, on June 20th. I'll take any questions.
Questions from the board?
Thank you, Mark.
I have a quick
Oh,
question.
Dan?
Sorry. Mark, why did we eliminate the foreign language participation in this, or did we substitute it in some other methodology?
I think basically what we were looking at was the core areas. That doesn't mean necessarily when foreign language should come up for review that there would be no representation, that those people would be they would be coming to the coordinating council for presentations and discussion. But I think we were mainly looking at the core areas of the science, the math, the English, reading, the key areas of the curriculum.
I guess I understand that, but I thought one of the things that we talked about last year was at some point during this forthcoming year, we were going to discuss some of the foreign language in a different light relative to transitioning. Is that not correct? I thought we were still...
We did do a study in regards to the state school standards on a credit-based program. Is that what you're referring to, Dan?
No, not particularly. I thought we were going to look at, and we did discuss that, and you're correct, and I thought we finalized that discussion.
Yes.
What I thought we were talking about was some of the curricula itself relative to the presentation of foreign language in the curricula to communication or oral rather than written, and I thought that was an ongoing study that we were going to do. Maybe somebody else can correct me. Am I off base on this? I thought we've yet to finalize that.
I think one of the things that we're looking for as a board, and we've had this discussion previously and it's shown up there, is when we start getting into the language base, and I believe at the high school they've changed the third year to language to more, you have a choice between the grammar or the oral type of language. And I think we need a finalization of that, and how does that affect as you walk through the middle school and the program follows through the whole idea. And once we get into that conversation, I think it's going to open up additional conversations of what we offer at the middle school and how that works, and get into a discussion of foreign language. I understand what we do, but that was something that's been on the agenda that we never brought to closure, of the middle school transitioning into the high school.
All right.
I'll give you a call, Mark, and
Yeah.
I think I brought that up maybe 3-4 years ago, Ron, as an agenda item, and just, it's still out there, so. Thank you.
The second report this evening on the agenda is the elementary summer school report. In your packets this evening, you received the questionnaire as well as the pre- and post-test results. Let me just kind of walk through some of the details of summer school this year. I'm pleased to report this evening on the progress of the district elementary summer school program for 2006. This year, the program ran from July 10th to August 3rd, from 9 a.m. to 11:45 a.m. in the South School, mainly the portable area. Due to the hot temperatures in late July this year, the air-conditioned rooms provided a more comfortable learning environment for the kids. 102 students were enrolled in the program. There were 110 in 2005, so we're pretty close to last year's numbers. We had a staff of 10 teachers for exiting grades 1 through 5 and 2 teachers for exiting kindergarten. In addition, 2 classroom aides were used in the kindergarten classes and in 2 classes that exceeded 8 students. Retired North School librarian Lenny Ogden assisted teachers at the start of the program with library materials, books, and equipment. High school librarian Victoria Good was on hand Monday through Thursday for 2 hours each day to assist teachers with daily needs and assisted parents with reading selections for their students. Our thanks to RE/MAX agent Mark Oswald for donating book bags and the district library media department for supporting the joy of reading with our program's students and parents. And I believe, Sue, you have a bag that you'd like to show.
Sue, why don't you come up so that people on TV can see it? You can model that for us. And
Okay, those of us that are dating, Carol Merrill, thank you.
And with the remainder of the bags, the library media department plans this fall to promote reading for all students in the elementary schools with the remainder of the stock. Some of the questionnaire results that I'd like to go over. Notification and registration. Overall, parents were pleased with registration and notification compared to our first year. This year, in addition to more than 500 plus mailings to specific targeted students from all the schools, we utilized Leo 21 for registration information and deadlines, and we posted on the district website the necessary registration forms. Principals also included summer school information in their school newsletters, had teachers make personal phone calls to specific parents of students who would benefit from the program. The second question on the questionnaire, pick up and drop off. Parents appreciated the sign-in on the first day of our program and the checkout, sign-out procedures for safety and security. At all pickup, transition, and drop-off times, the supervising administrator, assigned teacher, and other classroom teachers were always present in the entrance and lobby areas. Parents did suggest an adult at the drop-off area outside. The third question dealt with scheduling program and communications. Parents were favorable to the 4-week Monday through Thursday schedule, the weekly progress reports from teachers, and their child's written work with teacher feedback. Compared to our initial year, parents found overwhelmingly homework to be sufficient and appropriate. Teachers assigned homework 3 out of the 4 days per week for each of the 4 weeks. The library component, the greatest change to the program this year occurred with library media services. This year, not only were services directed towards students and teachers, but also to parents. The librarians encouraged parents to utilize the library for their child enrolled in the program. Parents received information regarding days and hours the South School Library was open during summer school. Coupled with the book bags, the South School Library had a total circulation of 578 books in the 16-day summer school program. Some of the comments from parents: I love the library being open. Not only did we get books, but I was able to walk around and show the kids where some of their favorite books are. The librarian was super. The backpack was a great idea for children to keep organized. My thanks to RE/MAX for their support. Some of the comments, it was an open-ended question at the end. My son loved loves school even in the summer. He is reading more clearly and he's very happy. This was a great program, and I was impressed that the Londonderry School District offered this extra help. It was very beneficial. Everything was excellent: the teachers, the materials, the library, and administration. I wish I'd worked with my daughter more on her math facts before the program. Overall, my daughter really benefited from summer school and will surely be more prepared for 4th grade as a result. Thank you so much. Some parents in the questionnaire suggested lengthening the program from 75 minutes to 90 minutes or greater. Some of the pre- and post-test information. In mathematics, summer school teachers utilized the Harcourt First Place Math Program's weekly pre- and post-tests. As you can see by the results of the 4-week program, progress was noted in the skill deficit areas, and I've provided board members with the weekly breakout as well as all of the sections for math. For reading, gains were noted in all sections. Summer school teachers utilized the Harcourt First Place Reading Program's post-assessment at the start of summer school and then administered the post-assessment again at the end of the program. Teachers targeted their daily instruction, emphasizing all phonic elements necessary to build a strong, systematic reading foundation at all grades. For the exiting kindergarten students, teachers focused on letter knowledge, letter sounds, and sight words throughout the program. Results show how students performed at the start of summer school and how they performed at the end on assessments in these areas. And just to sum up, I believe that the youngsters that were enrolled, the 102, they're going to be much more on a solid footing as they start the new school year off. And I think based on what we've seen on the assessments that we gave during the program, the feedback from parents, that they'll be off to a good start this fall.
Questions from the board?
Mark, what did you think? This is the first year we've done kindergarten, exiting kindergarten, correct?
Yes.
And what was your feeling about how that went?
Well, for me personally, I was only 1/4 of the supervising administrative team, but I must say that the youngsters, when they came in to school every morning, they were a bundle of joy, and I think they walked away very happy that they were able to participate in the program. We had 2 sections at 9 o'clock and 2 sections at 9:30 or at 10:30, and I think they benefited and they had fun while they were there. So, but maybe the other principals would like to add to that.
I think the small class sizes were very
Or maybe they would like to talk into the microphone when they added to that. Thank you.
Nice pants, Mr. Zakili, thank you.
I think the smaller class sizes were very beneficial for the kids. They didn't feel overwhelmed when they walked into that environment. And also narrowing the focus down to letter sounds and some phonemic awareness and instruction. The kids felt very much at home, and it was a very good reinforcement for them. So certainly when they move in next year, they're going to be much better off, and I think farther ahead than they would have been had they not had the summer school. So it was a very good program for the 5-year-olds, now 6-year-olds.
So it sounds like that's something you want to continue to do going forward next summer.
Yes.
And the only other thing I wanted to ask, Mark, was did you or any of the principals have any other conclusions about doing anything differently at this point, looking ahead? Any new lessons learned?
You met with the teachers at the last meeting.
Yeah, the teachers, I think, feel that things went very, very well this year. They were very organized in terms of our organizational process, number of kids in the class, and what have you. A couple of the survey comments from some parents indicated that they might like to see a little bit longer time frame from the time that we had another half an hour or so. So that's something I think that we have to look at. I'm not sure if that would be in the best interest of those students, especially on those real hot days in the morning, but it's something we certainly will look at.
Any questions from the board? The only statement I'd like to make is this questionnaire, to me, the most interesting part of it, and it is each time we do this, is the parents' comments. They are fascinating, and I just appreciate the fact that they take that much time to put in that much detail. It's the library program, it was interesting to see how many parents, and I don't mean this as a flippant remark, but the parents actually know that it's the Leach Library. I mean, they wrote that down. I think there was one person that said public library, and I think it's pretty impressive. There was a lot of people using that service across the street here, as well as the services in our schools. So great questionnaire, great comments from the parents. I want to thank the parents for filling that in such detail. Hey.
Just a comment. I want to take this opportunity to thank Mark, the elementary principals, and the faculty for the work that they did this summer. I think they ran an excellent program. I think the kids really benefited. And it was very well coordinated, focused. I think we got maximum amount of instruction in the period of time, in that 4-week period, and I think it did benefit the students, and I think it's a wonderful adjunct to our overall program that we've kind of stretched the year out a little bit. And we've also, as your board knows, elongated the day. And I think it's all to the benefit of the students. And I know the administrators and the teachers work very hard in focusing the instruction on individual students and what their particular needs were. And I think it's going to benefit the kids in the long run. I want to say thank you.
Thank you. Action item list.
Included in your packet are, in essence, 2 action item lists. The kind of narrative form, I guess, which is the second sheet, are the standing reports for the year. Ron had earlier this year put this together had brought it up at a board meeting, board concurred. The other items that we have on the horizontal sheet, if you will, are the tracking list from previous years moving up. And we put this in the packet. I believe it was requested one of the board members to put it in the packet review, and there it is.
Ron?
Yeah, basically on the second part, I put reports that come up on an annual basis and put them where they belong in the months. So what I was thinking of, and I didn't have time, and I apologize to the board, is like items 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 16, 18, 19, and 20 could be eliminated from the front sheet. And this would be just tracking items that are quick hitters, that are not repetitive items, that the board wants to bring something up, put it right on the list so it's right there and it's not getting confused with the other items.
Ron, I was actually going to tell Nate to make sure he had his pen ready, so can you go through those again?
I believe items 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 9 and 10, 16, 18, 19, and 20 could be taken off this list. And in fact, 13 also can be taken off the list. 14 could be taken off the list? Because those are going to be continuously as annual items that we'll be looking at on a specific basis.
Would the board like me to integrate this into one list? Would you like?
No, what I'd like to see is this list here,
Right,
the tracking list just with the remaining items on it, and that calendar on the back.
okay.
So one will be a non-recurring list of actions to achieve and then cross off. The other will be a recurring list, time phase that we can follow. Like,
No problem.
For the listening audience, I'm not going to read through them. But we will the next time. In other words, these calendar of events, I mean, just to pull a sampling out of them in October, remove bus routes from the web. It's just a house cleaning thing that we do, and there's other items like that on there and regular reports that we hear each time. So other than the ones that Ron brought up, I see a consensus on moving those to the calendar-style page. George, I'm going to ask about item 7. Before I do that, item number 8 is the cable fund grant to identify originally labeled future board meeting rooms. And this became looking for rooms for public meetings. And I'd like to remove this, but as we remove it, I'd like to congratulate Sue for the work that she did on this. And we now have the cafeteria room 221 and the music room available for public use by any organization in the town. So if you could just put on the list while I'm thinking about it, Old Home Day was, normally would meet at the cable studio, and for some reason that particular night they had to meet in the schools. And I just noticed that the audio was very reminiscent of our school board meetings. So we just, before we punch out on that, just make sure that that isn't a defect in the equipment or anything like that. But congratulations for finishing that up. Item number 7 is student trips. And George, I know that you picked this up from me and have had conversations with Susie and Nate and made some progress on that.
Yes. I met with Susie and Nate probably, a month, 6 weeks ago. It all just blends together after a while. And they've taken cue from other organizations that, deal with youth and youth protection. They were working on the policy, and I guess you're still refining that, if I'm not mistaken, and we should be able to look at that hopefully relatively shortly, because that's one more thing we want to be able to check off, and what this centers around is the protection of our kids, and not putting anyone in a position where they potentially could be alone with a student or a child on one of these trips. And the policy is meant to address that, or the protocol is meant to address those issues. So I think we're making progress. Again, taking it from other organizations, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, organizations that deal with youth.
Do we want to put a month and,
We can, I believe we can have it for September.
Okay.
That's no problem.
just put in the comments September 2006? In case it slips by us again. The item number 11. I think that the title of that, Nate, is just a little misleading, but the comments clear it up. It is something that we are working on at this time, and this is, we did have a joint meeting. We did discuss the areas where we could work together, custodial issues, libraries, facilities, fields, and now we've added IT to that. If you could add IT to that and have it as a continued conversation at joint meetings.
Right.
Next, we hosted the last joint meeting. The next joint meeting was scheduled for some time in August, but I haven't received information on when that would be. I know that this is a busy time right now with Old Home Days and all that. So we'll hopefully have something scheduled. It's a responsibility of the town council to schedule that before the budget season. Item number 12 is policies, procedures, and readings. And item that goes together with,
15.
yes, thank you,
And
with 15.
Paul and I are going to get together probably in early September and sit down and come up with a review cycle and look at the policies.
Steve?
Yes, Nate.
Connie has all but one policy on a CD for everybody. We're just waiting because we've got a policy here tonight, the instructional one. Once that's done, Connie can initialize it. She's been working all year to get that up on a CD, and we'll be able to give it to the board. So instead of having to walk around with one giant thing, we'll have it, and then we'll distribute it to the other locations that we have it to. So it'd be a nice, handy little, dandy little CD.
The, does that cover us legally? I know that all board members receive the policies and procedures in a hard copy format. I prefer an online version, particularly because you can search it and do other things. Does that qualify as in the laws of New Hampshire?
Yes, sir.
Monumental feat, because many of those policies I know dated from back when we only had typewriters.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the credit has to go to Mrs. McGinnis. She did a wonderful job.
That's the thing, kind of a thankless job. It's a lot of material. When do you think that will be?
Well, we're just waiting for the board to finalize this last policy. Connie and I had talked, and we said that, in essence, the drop dead date for getting the CD out was the instructional policy that we have tonight. And we'll get that done, and we're good to go.
So tonight's second reading, the next meeting would be the third reading, and then you'd be good to go. I'm just thinking that would be helpful when Ron and I sit down and.
Sure. Absolutely. No problem. And once again, I want to thank my boss, Connie McGinnis.
Well, as long as we're bringing that up, you don't need to take minutes on this, Mary. Why don't we put her on the agenda at about 10:30 at the next meeting, and we'll thank her all in person.
Okay. I'm sure she'd love
When
to
she
be here.
watches this, when she passes through the channels and sees this, we were just kidding, Connie. We won't have you come to our meeting and sit all night. All right. The item 17, middle school foreign language for high school credit discussion via or versus minimum standards.
I would suggest that what's the term I'm looking for? Hold pending college actions. We're still on and off having conversations with the university system regarding this, as you know, the foreign language as well as the math.
Would you put that in the comments section, reviewing with accredited colleges for issues, and then we'll update that at the next time we go through the tracking list. Any other items that didn't jump out at me, Paul?
I got a few thoughts. The action item list or tracking list itself, I think, is something that would be good to have on this calendar somewhere if we want to look at it once a month or once every 2 months. Just make sure on a regular basis that we're keeping track of the items on our list. And the calendar itself, making sure that we're catching the things.
rather than once a month, since we only have 2 meetings a month. Quarterly.
Yep.
As long as,
So that could be put on the calendar page, the second page. Paul?
yeah, that's fine. So you and Nate will be making sure that we cover the calendar items as it is, so at least it's on the board.
That'll be good on that page to
I'd also like
bullets on that.
like to suggest that sometime mid-school year, we schedule on here a review of a chance to review the status of the strategic plan, how we're doing against that, perhaps in the January, February timeframe.
Probably before, only because we'll end up in budget late December.
I think you need one in September for the presentation of the new strategic plan, and one to follow up. I think what Paul's saying is, where are we at this point, the status of it.
Yeah, could I make a suggestion? We have administrative retreat tomorrow. We're gonna be going through revision probably number 15 on the updated strategic plan, and we're gonna be pulling the whole thing together. So we can give you in, let's say, the second board meeting in September, and then I would suggest February, give the board an update, a progress report as to where we are. And what I would suggest recommend to the board that we do, in the past, I've given you the summary sheet, was it the 12-page summary sheet that identified each of the actions. And then what I'll do is, just so that you're not inundated with paper, then we'll indicate whether it's been completed, it's on target, or what have you, and then we can discuss it, if you're comfortable with that. Okay? And we will be providing the board with updated strategic plan in September with adjustments that we've made in it. And we'll be providing you, I believe we'll be able to give it to you in disc as well as paper, so whichever you're most comfortable with. And we'll use the same system that we've used in the past, which is color coding it for years, and you guys can, mix and match it however you want to do it, so. Okay?
We're adding another year onto the plan, correct?
Made, some items we've
What we should have now is, again, we have a 5-year plan.
right.
We always have a 5-year plan.
We have extended a number of items out. Some are terminated, like because they're in 3 or 4
Yeah,
years.
yeah, but the purpose, you go back, is for the administrators to look in the future and put some, I'm gonna say fuzzy logic in that last year.
There are a number of fuzzy items.
Out there, and as they come in, we make them more solid, but at
Yes.
least we're looking
Oh, yeah.
out 5 years to see
Yes.
where we want to take the
Yes.
district.
Absolutely. Yeah, Brian gave us a lot of fuzzy stuff.
I figured
So-
he'd give us the fuzzy stuff.
The elementary people gave us warm and fuzzy stuff, but Brian just gave us fuzzy stuff.
Okay. Paul?
A couple other things. I don't think we need to put them on this list if they're coming very shortly anyways, but Nate, is it the next meeting where we're going to take another look at the district benchmark progress?
Mark is going to give you the district benchmark report next meeting.
Next meeting?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And then, are you going to present to the board any documentation or rules of engagement you've put together for initiating the new breathalyzer policy?
Yeah, well, basically, with the breathalyzer policy, we're gonna follow the board policy. Jim has already had training with the administrators. We're gonna have a second set of training in October, I believe. October. Jim has started a log so that we can track when the training was and who was trained. And I was trained, and our intent basically is to follow the policy and the procedures that were laid out. Because after our numerous discussions, I think we kind of nailed it down as to how we were going to implement it, how it was going to flow, and so we're proceeding with that.
Okay, so basically you're saying the documentation's already there and what we read and approved,
Yes, sir.
and you're just acting on it
Yeah,
at this point?
and we're just tracking, Jim's just tracking the reactions so that
And created a log just to
Yes.
record what you're doing?
Yes, he
And
has.
the discipline reports will report on any action.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So I think we're pretty well covered on that, Paul.
One other thing I had on the list I picked up on some months ago. I know, Dan, if it was something you brought up, the question of setting up some goals for the board or for the board working with Nate to look at accomplishing over the course of the next year. Do you recall that?
I believe your comments were, or I brought it up when we talked about the annual review for the superintendent, that as he's developed for the administrative staff over the last several years a fairly concise package of goals and objectives, it's easier to review an individual if you have defined goals and objectives. And it was centered around that discussion, if you recall. And I suggested that the board certainly, maybe in private session, come up with some goals and objectives in a discussion and then present them to Nate and have that discussion. And I think we mentioned that to you
Yes, you do.
last April or whenever we had that. So yes.
So that's something we want to schedule.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea. Maybe we got some warm and fuzzies there too.
6 years out. Steve?
I don't know, 6 years?
So, just a question. Mark, on the benchmarks, do we present them on an annual basis?
We have,
I guess I'm looking at, in the future, is that one of the items that we present on a regular, should be presenting the benchmarks on a regular basis, like once a year?
we traditionally in the past have presented them, I believe, approximately 3 times per year.
Okay, so that should be on this list here, is where I was going. Okay, thank you.
Anything else from the board? Thank you, Nate.
You're welcome.
Good job.
Have the updated financial report from Peter.
Yes, before we talk about those, I just want to let the board know that the auditors have come and gone. They've done their work. Just a brief statement, the purpose, everyone understands, the purpose of the auditors and the audit report is to present a fair and accurate representation of the financial condition of the school district and make sure that all entries were in proper accounting procedures with GASB, and that they do some detection of fraud in other areas. But again, the main area is to make sure that the financial reports represent a fair financial representation of the district, mainly for external reading. They have, to my knowledge, not found any material errors or omissions. They were very pleased with the condition of the financial reports. They had very little questions as to accounting entries and so forth and so on. I expect to have the full audit report, final audit report done late October, maybe first weeks in November. Does take some time. We own, I believe, one piece, which is the fixed asset report, which is part of GASB 34. But again, as I mentioned, they were very pleased with the condition of the financials as presented.
I have a question.
Yeah?
Peter, several years ago, we talked about GASB 34. Are we fully compliant now?
Absolutely, on time. I think that was implemented, I believe, a year ago. Yeah.
But this audit would be,
Oh, going forward, yes.
yes,
And in fact, if we weren't, it would be a flag.
right.
Probably a major flag presented by the auditors.
For those in the community that have no idea what Gatsby 34 is, can you give a brief explanation?
Yeah, I think a few years ago, GASB, which is the Government Accounting Standards Board, which oversees the accounting policies and procedures for governmental organizations, decided that a more detailed analysis on fixed assets and depreciation schedules needed to be part of the financial report of local governments and single-purpose districts. They were they felt that there was some material information that the investment agencies needed in order, again, to show a fair and accurate financial picture of the local governments. And so this statement, which they issued, was, I think it was passed about 7 years ago, and they had a schedule when certain size of governments had to adhere to it.
So it, briefly, it would make us more like a
Private
corporate
Okay. Yep.
citizen than a
Right. And then just to touch, I call the second close, what simply was is, there was, as I mentioned at the last board meeting, there was one payroll entry that had to be made. Obviously, that's been made and everything has been closed. And I was asked to give a brief update of any changes. There was one change, that was the one change in the expenditure side, was that payroll encumbrance, the closure of the payroll encumbrance. What we presented to the auditors, and we assume, we haven't heard back, that it will go forward, that the fund balance that will be used for December's tax rate would be, as I mentioned here, almost $870,000, made up of $598,000 on the revenue side, $271,000 on the expenditure side. As I mentioned before, the major impact of that revenue positive variance was the interest on investments and the $100,000, a little over $100,000 catastrophic aid, where the state decided to fully fund catastrophic aid after the tax rate and appropriate revenues, as they asked us to use, were set. Other than that, I think everything pretty much stayed where it was when I gave you the first close report. As I said, we hope to have the audit report somewhere around the week or two before Thanksgiving.
Questions from the board on the second closed financial report, Dan?
A couple real quick ones. Peter, I know this is June 30th, but have we drawn down the impact fees? Or have we requested it?
We have requested it.
Okay.
I understand this, for them, they have a much busier audit season than we do, so we usually follow back up after their audit's done and make sure that the request got proven, but we did request it about 2 weeks ago.
So by the end of September or so, we
In
should,
August, I would expect the money to be transferred, and that's what basically is an internal transfer from them to us,
so we're already covering our,
impact fee projection.
for our projections. The second one I have, and maybe this is for Brian or you, is where do we stand last year in our Medicaid reimbursement? Is it pretty consistent at 200,000 or?
Yes, the
Okay.
last couple of years.
Okay.
It will fluctuate 10 and 15, but pretty much around 200, 225. If you remember, the request, I don't remember who it was, during the budget period, to raise the projection of Medicaid.
Right. It was either Ron or
Peter
myself.
and I were a little bit leery because what happens in Medicaid, we'll get probably a third to almost a half of the money May and June, just the way it is.
Right.
So when you see the numbers in the budget process and you see it low, it's tough for us to give you a trend because we get so many, it's actually big checks that come in May and June.
Well-
But what we thought was about 2.25 was, but
But I would think, it was either Ron or I that brought it up during the budget proceedings, and,
actually I thought it was John myself, but
oh, okay,
I don't know.
okay. Somebody.
But I don't think the projection we have for, well, actually this year is gonna be anything material or, damaging to ending the year in the positive as far as the revenue side goes.
But we file this continuously throughout the year, do we not?
Yes.
We stay on the staff they do a great job, believe you me. I remember 8-10 years ago when we did a lot of good work and increased that number
I think
dramatically.
there's a lot of checking between the business office, the sped
Okay.
department, and the third-party billing agency that we hired to do this for us.
But this is, when you say we collect most of the revenue in May and June, or June and July,
Right.
it's billed throughout the year, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. It'd be really encumbering to do it at the end of the year. So why is it that we get the revenue in May and June?
That's the way the government releases the money.
Oh, okay. So even though we bill it in August, we get paid in May and June?
Right.
Wow, okay,
You get some.
okay. Okay, that's it for me. Thank you. Oh, I did have one last one. Can't we eliminate kindergarten aid from this?
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
that goes back to when we established kindergarten and,
The building aid, line, yes.
yeah, and that's gone now, correct? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Good job.
Adriana from the Budget Committee?
Budget Committee. Peter, I am sure that it's just a matter of not looking at the numbers correctly. I'm having a hard time tying into the expenditures. Is there any way you can just quickly go over tying into the 271 under budget?
I'm not sure how you want me to tie into it.
Well, I can easily, on the revenue side, you have a nice table number 2, which ties into the 599, where the revenues are in addition to what we're originally.
Right.
Where you're stating that expenditures are 271,000 under budget.
I could have sworn you had this. There's the expenditure report.
I looked at it.
I thought you were, let's see how you had that exactly.
You have to add everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just add them all.
I think Dan, clearly, go ahead and repeat that, Dan, for everyone. 'Cause I'm sure that was
Oh, it's-
that was a mystifying conversation.
Oh,
It's a total of the expenditures.
yeah, I think what Andrea was
Throughout the
looking at, if, on the, on page 2, where, under expenditures, I highlight the major, areas of savings in the budget, and she was trying to tie those numbers into the expenditure report, and just showed her go to the end of the expenditure report, and it's all encompassed through all of the lines. That's where the 271 comes from. Sorry.
Any other questions for Peter on financial close? Seeing none, we'll move on to the CIP discussion. Peter, before you begin, I happened to catch the CIP discussion on the local access channel. And I would just like to compliment Ron. I felt that he represented the board's position very well. There was quite a bit of detail there. And I think that you watched out for our best interest and actually created quite a good conversation, which made it very understandable to the community.
Thank you.
It's all for Ron, which,
It doesn't matter, you're both listed, so.
if you go to the, I'll just go to the, this was done merely for Mr. Beaver, the salmon copy of the school side of the, expenditure of the,
Someday I'll be gone. Then you can choose another caller.
line 2. This is,
We ordered paper just for you, you know that, Dan.
Oh, don't tell Ben.
this is just a summary of the capital projects that was submitted, as a start, or a draft for the capital improvement committee. The only change that I know, that to my knowledge, was in 2008, under educational space South School, I added under FY 208, $200,000, and that's, I think the intent is, we funded $200,000 this year to start architectural engineering studies. If the plan is to go forward, the school district would fund an estimated $200,000 in March to kind of complete the plans in order to use them for bids. And then in 2009, a bond somewhere in the area of $4 million, depending on the scope of the project and approved by the board, would be then issued for the renovation and construction of South School. The other one that's new is the last line on the project description, auditorium, high school. The number in 2013 is $12 million. And again, if you back up 1 year, FY 2012, $1,200,000 for architectural engineering. And that number is simply just 10% of the estimated cost of the project. I just wanted to caution that the $12 million, certainly at this point in time, is a preliminary number. That number was derived from discussion with some committee members and the architect, given the size that people are looking at and so forth and so on. Obviously, between now and 2012, that number will certainly change. But we had to put something in to get submitted to the CIP committee and to get it on the docket.
Any questions from the board on the CIP schedule? And I don't know if this is for Ron or for here, but these numbers are, let me explain where my question comes from. Community to our south has had quite a difference in their estimate of the project and then the final cost of the project. But as the CIP prepares the plan, and it's not just for school projects, it's also for town, are they typically done in today's dollars?
Some of them, as you go along, are estimated out in future dollars. What we try to do here, and one of the things that we're doing on this is, remember, this is just an estimate for the CIP where we are. However, with the procedure that we follow going out for architect engineer fees 24 and 12 months ahead of time, we will probably come in with a guaranteed maximum price. So when we go to the voters for South School, we will tell the voters that this building, as we show them, will cost no more than X amount of dollars as a guaranteed maximum price. We've done that at the high school. We've done it at North School, and we found both projects very successful. And in fact, we did it at the middle school and the gymnasiums when we went back and did them at the two elementary schools. So that's been a very effective way. What we're saying here is, here's a number that we think the project is. And again, as the 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010 number and 11 are a lot more solid than the 2012 and 13 number. Those numbers there are just something to say, community, the community is talking about an auditorium, and if it comes in, this is where we believe it fits on the CIP. Here's a number as a placeholder. And as I said at the meeting, this could be 9 million, this could be 14 million. We don't have any numbers. We're working on the educational plan of the auditorium. We're working on the size of the auditorium, the location. Is there any alternative funding available? All those things the auditorium committee is working on. So until we look at that and we come back to the board, and the board's going to say, here's some information, board, what do you want us to do next? The committee's going to come and ask us. So that's when we have to give more direction to this committee and say, thank you very much, this is enough, or we'd like you to go pursue these type of items. So it's just a general number to say the community is looking at an auditorium somewhere in the year 2013. It seems so far away. But it's out there, and we're looking at it, and that's how we see the plans forward. But the biggest thing that we do, and I think the smartest thing we do, is do the architect engineer a year to 18 months ahead of time, so we can come up with this guaranteed maximum price.
I think what also helps us on cost issues too is that our past practice has been that because we do the architectural and engineering ahead of time, once a bond is approved, very shortly thereafter we have a shovel in the ground, so that you don't have a year's lag time where, in effect, you suffer greater variances on costs and so forth. So I think that's very helpful, and that's been very helpful for us at a time. Getting the architect and engineering stuff in, getting very close, getting close market prices, and then moving right on to begin digging.
So by doing the A&E ahead of time, we avoid 30 and 40% surprises.
That's correct.
Basically, what happens when we pick the construction manager, and we seem to go that way, what he does is, before he gives us the guaranteed maximum price, he goes out to bid to his subcontractors and say, hey, here's the drawings, here's the specs, what is it gonna cost me? So he's got an actual cost, and when he comes up with the guaranteed maximum price, when he comes to us, we say, yep, we like that price, and we go from there. So we're pretty locked and loaded to do a project that July 1, we're gonna be ripping things down and moving things around on July 1, as opposed to waiting 6 months. And he's got his contractors, he's got his bids already in hand.
Okay.
Peter or Ron, refresh my memory. At any point, did we used to put the maintenance trust fund on the CIP? I thought we did years ago.
We- Yeah.
Years ago.
We did, because the projects are all under the
They're
amount.
capital items.
Right, but they're considered under the amount, not that the capital maintenance trust is a big number, but since they're maintenance
okay.
items as, 50,000, 40,000, don't meet the
Also, we're
threshold.
looking at it, so we'll put out 400,000 as
Right.
or a maintenance trust fund for a year.
Right.
But I think we can sit here and say maybe we'll continue to do that to take care of the smaller capital projects that we deem necessary
Right.
throughout the,
Exactly,
Okay.
they're all under this $100,000.
so they don't look them collectively for the year, the new format. Because I thought we used to throw it out 400 a year on there.
We
Right,
did, and then when we looked at the policy, it's rated on individual projects. So even though the fund, or the budget, the appropriation was 400, it was really 50 for this, 30 for that, 40 for this, so
I'm okay with that, now that
it's the same.
I guess the only caution I would have, let's say, I don't know, I know we wouldn't do it, but I'm gonna have $1 million of little items.
Right,
So
right,
paving for one,
right.
okay, I could pave North School, South School, all over the place, and it's just something, I wanted to make sure that we're still as a board committed to maintaining a maintenance trust fund to take care of those items.
absolutely,
So,
and you'll
okay.
notice that the towns is not on here either.
I
They
did
haven't-
notice that,
And they
yeah.
don't have one, so it's just been a philosophical point that we'll
Okay.
get into,
Okay,
and that's more of a budgetary issue than.
but we did
capital.
used to throw it on there, did we?
Yes.
Yes, we did.
Okay, I understand, thank you.
So this is okay to move forward, or?
Well, what's gonna happen here, I would expect, is we're gonna get the final report from Tim and the planning board, and this is the numbers that we're seeing here, and we'll move it forward at that point in time and approve it after it's a report. One of the things I have to congratulate the board, I think, one of the things that we do is that we have our input in April and May, and that's very helpful to me to represent the position of the board and not being one board member telling the CIP what I think. What I'm trying to do here is relay what I think the board is talking about. I may mess it up a little bit, but I think that's what I'm trying to do, is tell the community what the board is thinking of and the administration together. So when we go into that meeting, it's very simple. Here's our projects, and here's where we think they belong. And there's no surprises.
What is the status of that committee now, Ron? Have they, does this reflect, does the SIP committee, does what we see in the salmon sheet here reflect?
Pretty much.
Yeah, what'll happen is Tim is going to put together a combined CIP between us and the town, and he'll send it out. He hasn't sent it out yet. Once we see that, we may have to move some projects around to see how it works. An example was the fire station was thinking about postponing their project for a year, but our school's coming up in '08. So the CIP committee says, you know what, it looks like we're planning it for '08 and our school in
We're
'09.
still negotiating those.
Right, some small things, but we're pretty well set with our first two projects are very well set in where they belong.
This document too, I think it's hard to understand if you aren't a junkie of all the meetings and the process that we go through. But this document is a planning document for the planning board, and they utilize it for a number of items. In the past years, it's been utilized in order to enact our growth control ordinance. If we didn't plan out all of these years ahead of time, looking at our school space needs and our town infrastructure needs, and all of those items they couldn't have implemented the actual growth control ordinance, which
Or-
kept us from.
Or collect impact fees.
Yes, or, yeah, those are my next item, thanks. Yeah, or collecting, the ability to collect impact fees for both schools and for town infrastructure items, so that it has a quite a broad usage in the community. It's not just to make sure we're planning things in the future, it's to be sure that we get the right amount of funds from different developers and keep growth under control.
The other thing about the committee, which is that we have the budget committee, the school board, and the town council sitting at the table together,
Well,
and the planning board, discussing this and coming up with a unified plan, so we're not stepping on each other's projects, and we're rating each project on the same basis, so all the projects get rated on the same basis, and we put the projects where they belong and how they're rated.
Great. We have, the next item is deliberation, policy IIAC.
Mr. Chairman, I move policy IIAC for the second reading.
Second.
Motion by Ron, second by Dan. Discussion, or, Dave,
If-
are you coming forward?
Yes, Susan, this is Susan's baby, and she's up next too, so she can,
Stay with us.
yes.
So, Sue Ballard,
I think the only
Library and Media Services Director, I'd like to have
Susan
you
Ballard,
just,
Director of Library, Media, and Technology Services.
I'd just like to have you, give a brief overview of what instructional materials and library collection development is, and then you can go through the changes.
Yes. This policy delineates the responsibility for selection of instructional and library materials, which is the school board's responsibility, which they have delegated to the professional staff of the district. And it defines principles of selection, criteria by which staff examine and consider materials that will be used both in the classroom and library setting. Delineates types of material we look at, and also considers special selection situations like gift materials, donations. In the instance of our asking the board to update this policy, there is also a section of the policy that deals with the citizens' right to ask us to reconsider materials that we are using instructionally or in the library. And because our school library collection will now be available on the web, council has advised that we tighten up that policy so that those people who may ask for that reconsideration are citizens of Londonderry. So the policy that the board is considering has council's suggested changes of language for that. And at the first reading that the board had, we recognized that our mission statement, which is the introductory paragraph to the document, was old. So we've updated that with the district's current mission statement. We made a change in a syntax error, and we are now asking the board to consider a second reading.
Questions from the board? Thank you, Susan. Seeing none, we have a first and a second on policy IIAC, instructional materials and library collection development. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 5-0. 5 proposal and approval request.
Yes, at the last school board meeting, we had asked the board's approval of portions of the district's consolidated grant and indicated that we were going to be doing some consulting with the District Technology Committee about the utilization of Title V funds, which are designated for innovative strategies in schools. The Technology Committee is not slated to convene until September, but in the interim, our district technology trainer integrationist, Joe Oswald, had been doing some investigation, and we realized that we had an opportunity to expand upon some work we are currently doing in the district in the utilization of Alpha Smart Neo Labs. The board will perhaps recollect that last year's project involved the acquisition of one of those for the middle school, and it has worked out very well. Joe was able to discuss this proposal with Mr. Parent at the high school, Ms. Bozak, and Kim Lindley Susi in regard to using this technology for our at-risk populations and to support adult ed efforts in the school. So because the committee was not meeting, we polled them via email and asked their support of this recommendation, especially because we wanted to be able to take advantage of some special pricing and to get this in place in time for us to have some instructional effectiveness in first semester and have appropriate time for the teachers to be trained. Mrs. Oswald will be the one implementing this with the folks at the high school, and strictly for administrative purposes, I'll be making sure that reports and documents are filed on time with the Department of Ed. So on behalf of the Tech Committee, we're asking the board's approval of our application for Title V dollars.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make the motion for the approval of the Title V funds for FY '06 and '07 of $8,449.85.
Second.
First by Ron, second by Paul. Questions, discussion from the board? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0. Next item, Mac computer purchases.
Yes, I guess I'll take this
Oh,
one.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
It says Peter slash,
Hang out.
and you're both there.
Thank
Thank you for
stay
staying
right
there.
As part of the, if you remember the budget process, in the capital lease, there was, the request and the approval of, IBM workstations and, Apple Mac, eMacs. Problem arose, after the budget process and everything is all done and everything, we're going along happy. Apple Computers decides to change its production line, and use what's called the, Intel chip as part of its new production line. Bad news for the school district and any other purchasers of Apple workstations is that for us, we had budgeted roughly $700 a machine in the capital lease. And as the indication is that the market price is now about $900 for a,
iMac.
no, it's not an iMac, it's
Processor.
for Mac workstation. The tech committee brought in representatives of Apple to explain the so-called marketing strategies and the power of the new chip and so forth and so on. The discussion, I think, was all centered around the idea of either going ahead and purchasing the new product line or purchasing a discontinued line of computers, eMac, that we've purchased over the last few years. And I believe the tech committee recommendation was not to purchase a discontinued hardware line, but to go ahead and purchase the new Mac, I call it the Intel chip line. So we have for you a breakout of the number of machines being requested, a summary of where they're going, and obviously we need board approval as part of policy to purchase the hardware from the capital lease. Capital lease.
I would add that since development of our budget proposal for the capital lease, we recognize that we also had an obligation to provide some support for an autistic program
Right.
that's being incepted, so that consideration is also included in this proposal.
One final comment, Mr. Chairman. As I mentioned in my memo, really the two lines of savings in the capital lease. If you remember, in the capital lease, we had budgeted 4 servers. There was 2 replacements, to new or additional inventory. Because of what happened in March, the food service department picked up the cost of one of those, and the projected savings, we had budgeted $10,000 for network equipment. We don't think we're gonna need all that $10,000, so those two lines will cover the projected overrun of this request for that particular line. Right now, just for your information, we have a run-out rate in the capital lease of a positive $4,902.
Questions from the board? George?
I know we've got a lot of money tied up in software that we run on the Macs. It seems to me that Macs finally realized that this is a Windows-based world. In the business world, it's Windows-based, and it's slowly becoming in the education world, it appears, since Mac recognizes that Windows is the way to go. Is it prudent of us at this point to start looking at what it's going to take to start looking at IT, or rather PC clones going forward? Stop investing in Macs and start looking at cheaper, more reliable, easier to repair, more available products in the world of PC clones? That's a question, I guess, for you, Sue. And you may not have an answer. It may be rhetorical at this point.
I would say, given this significant change in the marketplace, that it's probably an appropriate time for the Technology Committee to really consider that question. The last time, we considered the question of PC versus Mac, and at what level we would be looking at what was maybe 15 years ago. And it's been some time. It certainly bears looking at, and I imagine could be a significant portion of the committee's undertaking.
Yeah, I think,
Wants to
you know,
try and
I mean,
see if it's,
I just did some quick, when I saw this, I did some quick online stuff without even calling a company and, you know, asking them about it. But it's probably 55 to 60% cheaper based on the information that I've been given here regarding the infrastructure of the machine itself. You know, what Mac's asking $899 for is available through the internet for around $399 to $450. Not that it's, you know, and some of that has embedded software that we don't need. It's, you know, there's issues, and I understand that. But I think there could be significant savings now, and I don't know what it's going to affect in Joe's world with, you know, Macs and the software that's available only for Macs and that kind of thing. But I think it bears looking into, because I think there's a significant savings in the IT world.
and I would add that Mac has had a very loyal customer base in the school environment because their product line has been very reliable. Not as many because the hardware is similar, not cloned, more reliable. So there's that benefit, and all of those issues certainly need to be looked at by people as a group, as opposed to, you know, I'm not in a position to say.
No, and I understand that. You know, another way to look at that same statement is nobody's cloning it because there's not a big market. So.
Right, we should, but I think it would be an appropriate time for the committee to
Okay.
look at, because I think,
Thanks.
Ron?
What I think this does is give us the opportunity in the future to move over to a PC base, which is nice. We can't go out there as a district afford to replace all the Macs at one time. Doing this here for a year or two using the IBMs or the Macs that can be switched over to IBMs on the dual chip takes care of a large portion of the population in there, and then you just knock off the last portion in the third or fourth year of it. While it's a little bit more expensive, it's not a lump sum in the budget. And that gives the committee a time to look at it as we buy programs. We buy programs that are dual-based, that are Macs and IBM-based type of programs. So I think Mac has set us up in the opportunity to move to a PC base.
Yeah, I think it's allowed us to review our strategy going
Yes.
forward. So it's definitely came at the right time.
Yes.
That was it, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Other questions? I have one before I'll take a motion. If these were not to be approved today or for the next 6 months, how would it affect educational services?
Well, these particular units are slated to go into our primary grade classrooms, where the oldest of our technology currently resides, and which does have a significant cost to us instructionally, because they're not able to run the latest software and have issues in terms of connectivity with the web. If you wouldn't mind, I'd like to ask Joe to come up, who is the integrationist working with people in the classroom, and I'm sure she's very happy to
At first, I thought she was unwilling, but she's smiling, so.
to join me. I have been counting on making this transition to get those kids and teachers in a better position instructionally. So, Joe, would you like to add to that?
I think Sue's right. I think probably the biggest issue would be on some of our web-based resources. As you're aware of, the new reading program has a lot of web-based support. Our math and social studies books do too, and it seems to be the biggest area where where those classes would be affected. Possibly things like the teacher being able to do her web page from the computer in her classroom, and additionally.
It's what, the issue, I think, I could be wrong, but the issue is with the oldest computers, they can't run the latest, or maybe the second latest operating system, and that's inhibiting a lot of the stuff that Southwell and Val are presenting here. It's the ability to go into the latest, or maybe two latest operating systems is what the factor is, and from there, getting the web pages, getting the internet, getting email is all difficult on the support end because of the fact that they're able to run such an old operating system.
George?
Can I just follow up on that then for a second? And it goes back to my original statement. Everything that you guys just mentioned, I don't believe is Mac dependent.
Some of the software that we're utilizing instructionally at this point is still Mac
Okay, but
dependent.
the things that you just pointed out as being the biggest impacts are web-based, web-related, access to the web through the internet. That's not Mac dependent, correct?
It's not.
That's
So,
correct.
I mean, I understand there's other things on those machines that are Mac dependent.
I think, too, there is a big variable in terms of preparing our staff for a big transition from the look and feel of the OS environment to the look and feel of the Windows environment. So we have some work cut out for us
No doubt.
to move them from a comfort zone that they have right now to a different environment.
Training would be a huge issue.
Yeah, no doubt.
I think,
Thanks.
I think the proposal that's before the board is the beginning of a bridge that can provide us with an option of going one way or the other, depending on direction that's established in the technology committee. But at this point, it gives us a bridge. It supports the programs that we presently have with the skill set that the teachers have, and I think it's an appropriate way for us to go. When the committee went through in making recommendations regarding the number of computers and location of computers, we did it based on age and the ability of the computer to do what it was assigned to do. And that was the discussions that we had at the committee level in the review of our inventory and stock of hardware. And we tried to match it up to what the requirements were of the job, is the way we looked at it. And I think one of the things that was enticing to me was that by going in this direction, it provides our faculty with a bridge and gives us an opportunity to look at whether or not we want to continue in Apple's base at the elementary level or convert over to a Windows environment and see how it goes. That's not to say that there may be, in particular, there are certain functions that I believe an Apple can do better than others in certain environments. And we can see what we've got here, we can see how this performs, and it gives us a bridge. So it gives us kind of flexibility. I think that's kind of important at this point.
Other than the Windows, I'm sorry, excuse me, I misspoke. Other than the internet-based applications that you talk about that would affect the educational process, what specific programs will be loaded on these systems what educational programs would be affected if these were not to be voted on for the next 6 months?
I think probably the ability to use the Apple software that comes with it, the iLife, the iPhoto, and iMovie. It may be loaded on some of those machines, but it either is so slow or it's, in many cases, doesn't work. We do have a few classrooms with still an OS 9 machine, and the newer software, for example, that comes with a reading program, only works on OS 10, which OS 10's been out a while, so I think it's fair to admit to see that any new software is going to be written for that. We have a KidPix program that is integrated with iLife, and that's only available in OS 10.
I don't know who to address this question to. Although changes that Apple has made here, there's increased the base, the cost of the product. I see that you have spec'd here 17-inch widescreen LCDs. The counterpoint to that, they increased the base price. That particular market seems to be crashing extremely recently, within the last few weeks, to the point where the cheapest person in the world, me, is now actually purchasing some 20-inch widescreens for a few $100s. Has the school district that's looking at this taken that into consideration on these machines?
You mean to buy separately component parts, monitors? It's integrated, isn't it?
The model we're
looking at is an integrated model.
Okay. So the particular machine that you're looking at is an integrated monitor and CPU.
This particular machine, actually, when we asked the people from Apple to come and explain to us where Apple was heading with this new dual processor technology and whatnot, did not exist. It had not been announced. This brought a price point down for us from what the folks from Apple were talking about at that time, and this is only available to the educational market. This is Apple's design for what schools have told them works in an instructional environment. So just to make that clear, this model is not available to the consumer. This is a special, I know it's high, and I certainly understand your concerns, but this is what they consider to be their price point for schools. It's still high, but.
Thank you for that information.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we accept the proposal on the Mac workstations for FY07.
Second.
First from Ron and a second from George. Further discussion? Seeing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Peter, Chuck, we have oil bid.
We do.
results. I expect it to be spirited, so I appreciate Chuck Zappa, who runs our 700,000 square feet.
Passing around a memo that Chuck and I drafted in addition to the email we sent out early in the afternoon. Just highlight, I won't quite read it for you. We recognize that, as we've said in the past, in the last several years, up until this year and last year, going out to bid in August, mid-August or late July, we were assured and kind of congratulated by the vendors for picking the right time to go out to bid for the lowest price. Last year, we were burned by Hurricane Katrina. This year, we're not sure what we're burned by. Certainly, we can blame it, I guess, on the oil pipeline or issues in the Mideast. So what we're asking is, it was obviously first to approve the bid for Fred Fuller. And what I was thinking is, and obviously open for discussion, is what we'll do is in the mid of winter and the mid of spring, do a solicitation of oil pricing in the market, get a feel for at both those times, the pricing of oil, what the feelings are from so-called experts, report back our findings to the board, and then obviously solicit ideas, suggestions, or comments from the board. And then we can decide at that point whether we should lock in in mid-winter, mid-spring, or wait until, a typical time, late July, first week in August. To be honest, we were kind of hesitant when these bids came in. But again, we did some soliciting back in, I'm gonna say, January, February, March frame. And unfortunately, the price was lower at that point. We had thought about locking in, but talking, again, I'll use the word, the vendors and experts, they had hinted very strongly to us that they thought, barring any major hurricane seasons in the Gulf Coast, so forth and so on, that they actually expected the price to drop to $1.80, maybe even as low as $1.70. And based on that advice, we didn't, I use the word pull the trigger and waited till the typical time that we go out to bid.
Questions from the board, Dan?
Peter, do they have an insurance policy that you can buy that if the bid drops below a certain level, they'll honor the revised? I know homeowners can buy that.
This is a contract, and this is a fixed price.
Okay.
There is no insurance policy offered on this.
Okay.
Questions from the board? We're supposed to move up. Thank you.
I'm certain that it works different with, different from private. However, I did lock in with Fred Fuller and paid a $50 insurance guarantee just 2 weeks ago. And this price is 17 cents less than what I locked in at, but, I mean, I'm buying 700 gallons and I'm buying 60,000 gallons. So I would imagine, are you certain that there was no price guarantee? Did you ask that option? If I paid $50 and I got a price guarantee?
Yeah, you paid $50, and the only concern is, would the price go down on the 700 gallons that you're purchasing? We're looking at 60 to 65,000 gallons.
Right.
We did not ask for, and they did not offer any price protection, but if you did the math, it would probably be a pretty significant number to interpolate the 700 gallons to 60,000 gallons.
Okay. So that's
So in other words, $50 on 700 gallons. We would take $50 times, just to make it easy, 100.
I mean, we could do the math. How much would the price have to drop in order to recoup the costs of the.
I think John Sylvester's had this conversation in the past with the board, and that they'll sell insurance on anything. But is it cost effective to purchase that?
Right.
Roughly to take it out, it costs us $5,000 if you proportion it up.
Well, Chuck said they didn't offer it anyhow, so.
Well, we didn't request any, but none was offered. And the other thing we need to look at is some of these, the contracts and the price that we were offered back last winter was a pre-purchase. Do you want to cut a check for $120,000, $140,000? And if you look at, Peter and I had some discussions about this all afternoon. If you look at his financial report, there's a pretty significant amount of investment income in there. And we're getting close to 5% now. So if we gave up $140,000 for 10 months or so, that's the equivalent of about $0.10 a gallon. So that's something to keep in mind also.
Keep in mind that the tanks are full as of June 30th, so we really wouldn't be purchasing anything for,
And you have about 1/3 of a year in capacity in the tanks.
Depending on how low we
I'd say
want
1 quarter
to go, we have between 1/3 and 1/2 of a year. We used, last winter was fairly mild. We used about 51,000 gallons last year.
Ron?
Peter, is there a state contract for fuel oil?
Yes, we didn't look at that one, but we did look at what's called a school district consortium, where there's a group of school districts in the middle of the state pool their resources or pool their volume together, and actually this bid is lower than them. One of the things that we found out in talking to people is when you get into state contracts with like oil or the one we talked about a lot was paving, when the state bids out, it may not always be the best price for us because the vendor may have to go as far as Berlin to Claremont to Portsmouth. So the travel costs, as the cost of gasoline increases, they have to incorporate that into effect. When we talked, for example, I sent an email out a while ago on the high school paving. The town was getting a far better rate on asphalt or from Continental than the state bid was. And one of the reasons was the amount of gas required for delivery to go to the areas of the state. So it's not always because it's a state and volume, now you gotta take the transportation costs into account.
Yeah.
I guess in looking at this and I buy considerable amount of natural gas at where I work, I've never guessed right. So, I've been high, I've been low. But this looks like we're about 15,000 over budget if we go with this contract. I was listening to the Weather Channel the other day, and they're still saying that it could be a heck of a hurricane season. Don't be fooled. World economies being what they are, the Alaskan situation, who knows? So I think I'm prepared to say 15,000 is a safe bet. But remember, I guess wrong. But I hate to be sitting here 6-8 months from now and saying I missed it by $100,000. I simply don't know, and I assume that's the dilemma you two face today. So, I hear you say $1.87, but who the heck really knows?
There is a consortium of, as Peter was saying, of towns, that primarily in central New Hampshire. It's called Our Town Energy, and their price is about 10 cents higher than this. But what they are recommending is that you do a contract for approximately half what you're going to use, and then roll the dice on the other half further into the season. But I talked to the director this morning, or early this afternoon, after we got the prices in, and his recommendation was to go the full year with this price because he didn't anticipate any significant drop in the next 6 months.
First of all, I thinking of going half and rolling the dice, I think would be a mistake. I've yet to see oil prices come down in January, February, and March. So I think that's a mistake.
And that's when we consume it.
Right, that's what I'm gonna do. So I would go here. The only thing I think we need to look at, and it's maybe from a board perspective, is
Next
how do
year.
we take advantage of a winter savings on the price of it when we can do the January bid, because I know Fred Fuller comes out in the January timeframe, and at that point in time, we may want to look at it that way.
Well, that's, I said the memo that what we'll do is, instead of just waiting, I think our comment was, okay, we struck out 2 years in a row here, so we gotta change too. That's why I said we will look at it midwinter, call it January, and get a feel for what's going on and whatever. Come back with the board, this is what we're looking at for price. If we say we'll pass, we'll do it again, say April, May timeframe, and then we pass again, then we'll do it like we do like July and August.
Also,
Three bites of the apple.
also, I think we got to consider a little bit long-term is some sort of warrant article to give us the ability to use
Next year's funds.
funds over there to support this, and that would reduce the budget next year by that amount. Something like that, the
Right.
unanticipated revenues to cover something like this, so we can take advantage for the taxpayers of 35 cents or 36 cents a gallon on this if we see the price is good there, and not stretch the budget and use unanticipated revenues, and you know, it'll work both ways.
Can I, picking up on what Ron said, Peter, maybe we should contact our attorney and see, like we have a trust set up for like special ed. Maybe there's a way that we, considering what the situation is now, have a fuel trust that would fall in the same thing, in the same guidelines, so that if we've got excess revenue at the end of the year, let's say $50,000 or what have you, the board could designate a certain amount not to exceed, and put that in a trust with the way fuel prices are going. And in here, I would also include not only oil, but gas too, whatever our fuel mixture is. That way, if in fact there is a major crisis and all of a sudden costs just go up through the roof, we've got our own little hedge, if you will, that wouldn't require us to say, we've got to reduce this within the operating budget or that within the operating budget. That may be just another fallback for us.
Again, I'm looking at it to cover the oil purchases
Yeah.
that we would do in January.
Yeah.
So, okay, quick question, do we have any propane that we buy, or any levels?
We need to clarify the difference too between propane and natural gas.
Well, propane and natural gas, two different types of gases. We use a little bit of propane at the middle school.
Not significant?
To fire the pilots on the oil burners, probably less than 1,000 gallons a year. But, you know, getting back to the other discussion, and Peter and I were, again, talking about this all afternoon. How do you know when you're getting a good price or the best price? You don't know until a couple of months later. If, you know, we've got a bid of $2.37 a gallon right now for this winter. If Fred Fuller called and said, I will guarantee this price for next year, if you want to do a prepay, cut me a check for $140,000, I'll guarantee the price, would we do it?
Let me reverse the question to you, okay? Have you prepaid your oil, and would you pay for it?
Yes, yeah, okay, listen to this.
I rest my case. I prepaid mine at $1.99 a gallon.
So,
So,
but 5 years ago, I paid 78 cents prepaid, so
but in January, $1.99 looked
was
very
good. I bought it.
Yeah, so,
And I didn't, and I think we're somewhere around 230, 240. So
You guess
you
worse
got
than me.
winners and losers. We're happy to have done it.
I don't think I'm winning at $1.99, but
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we accept the bid from Fred Fuller at $2.35,
$2.37.
per gallon of oil.
Second.
We've got first and second for the corrected amount there, $2,
Okay. $2.375.
37.5 cents per
Yes.
gallon. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we reconvene non-public session. No, excuse me. No. Not yet.
If you don't have a second, and Reed Page Clark, welcome home, and you'd like to speak, it's
While the
10 after 9.
principals are still here, and I'm still here, I'd like to remind them that middle school and the high school will have several new edifices on their properties tomorrow morning at 9:30. And in case you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm delivering 22 porta potties to the various areas, including the middle school and the high school. So that'll save me 36 cents per phone call. Thank you very much.
So if anyone's,
Wow, he needs a new plan.
if anyone's,
Be there all day, I'll tell you how they work by the evening.
if anyone's traveling through town and needs a place to go to the bathroom,
Better than
Save
waiting
my
for the
septic
state to
system.
build a rest stop, I guess.
and further details are available at oldhomeday.com.
Hopefully it's not bring your own paper.
Mr. Chairman, I move we go into reconvene non-public session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Steve Young.
I got good at the end.
If you're in this room, you're on the air, so no porta potty talk.